Hi Whovians, Harry here, and recently I was looking through my reviews of the whole of Season 1 of Doctor Who, and I realised I never made a video going over my review of, the whole of Season 1 of Doctor Who in just, one video. So I thought today I would make a video of my review of Doctor Who Season 1. Was it good? Was it bad? What did I feel of it? And basically just going over what I thought of it. And sorry I haven't uploaded recently for Doctor Who. I was ill and I couldn't record, but now I am feeling better and I am hopefully wanting to come back more consistently, starting with my review of the whole of Season 1 of Doctor Who. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe, also leave a like and comment down below, and let's get in to the video. So, Season 1 of Doctor Who actually doesn't start back in May. It actually starts all the way back, in 2023, where the marketing for Season 1 took place. And I want to go over the marketing first, because this is where the last era of Doctor Who, the Chibnall and Whittaker era, really failed. There was, no marketing for the next series. Power of the Doctor, we didn't even know until, the week before it aired when it would be airing. I even made a video going over how Doctor Who had terrible marketing, which I will link up in the cards above, so check that out if you haven't already. But this is where this era of Doctor Who really needed to start being good, because the other era kind of dropped the ball on that. And I have to say, they did an extremely good job. The partnership with Disney, with Doctor Who streaming on Disney Plus, actually made it so much better. There was trailers and posters and pictures of the Doctor and Ruby, and marketing for Season 1 of Doctor Who, like the Doctor appearing on trains, the TARDIS appearing in Disneyland, the TARDIS cross-promotion with Barbie being pink, and then also just other things connected with Disneyland and Disney and Doctor Who, and tying it all in together, and really it made people hyped for Doctor Who. And of course the trailers made it even better, because not only were we getting dates of when this would be airing in advance, we knew it was just hyping it up rather than what the previous era of Doctor Who did, which for Flux was literally delete their Twitter and their website. That was their marketing. But this one is so much better. It gets you hyped. Doctor Who is in your face, rather than it being you have to actively look for when Flux or Power of the Doctor was airing. So that's good that this era really succeeds in. However, through this marketing, there is also confusion, and that is because this era of Doctor Who was rebranded as, rather than Series 14, it was rebranded as Season 1. Not to be confused with Season 1 back in 1963, where Doctor Who obviously started, or Series 1 back in 2005, which was the reboot of Doctor Who with Christopher Eccleston and Billie Piper. But Season 1 2024, which is this era, and it confused a lot of people, because we now have 2 Season 1s and technically kind of almost 3 series or seasons with 1 in the title. So of course this reboot was just confusing for a lot of people, and the reason why I think this changing of the seasons fails, whereas Series 1 didn't, was because before New Who came back, Doctor Who had not been on TV for 9 years, or 16 years, not counting the Paul McGann TV movie. So it made sense for the season to reset back to Series 1. However, we have had Doctor Who every single year. Power of the Doctor aired back in 2022, so the series didn't need to reset like it did back in 2005. And this change was probably brought about due to the Doctor Who Disney Plus streaming deal, because obviously Disney Plus thought that their customers would be put off by them pushing a Series 14 of basically a new show to them. Because even though Doctor Who is more of a big deal in the UK, it has always struggled to get massive numbers in the US. So Disney obviously thought it would be a bit too much for Series 14 to suddenly air to Doctor Who just push their viewers into the deep end, as I think HBO Max has streaming rights for the rest of New Who, which is probably why it was rebranded as Season 1 instead of it being continuing on as Series 14. However, there is another mark against this new reboot, because many past characters of Doctor Who's history have been brought back in this Season 1, like Mal, who was previous companion to the 6th and 7th Doctor, Kate Stewart and Unit, which of course Unit fights all these alien threats and has appeared ever since the 2nd Doctor's era, and Kate Stewart appeared back in 2012, and of course Sutekh, the God of Death, was in this series, and he first appeared in 1975's Pyramids of Mars. Whereas back in 2005 with Series 1, that was a much more easy jumping on point for new viewers. Yeah, we had past villains like the Autons and Daleks, but it was like bled into the fact that they could have been new villains. We weren't brought in with so much more baggage like Mal, Kate, and even Sutekh do have. And the lore of Doctor Who was built up slowly over time, whereas in this season, the information is given to us through quite a bit of exposition in mostly Episode 1, Space Babies. But while the marketing was a success, but the series rename was a bit of confusion, now I want to move into the actual season. And where is the best place to start but with the Doctor himself, played by Ncuti Gatwa. And of course, this version of the Doctor, he hits the ground running straight away. He is an amazing Doctor. He is fun, he is flirty, he has banter, but he also has moments of frustration, sadness, anger. He does the whole range of emotions. It is so easy to see. Like, you put on Space Babies and then Dot and Bubble, and you will see just the range that this actor has, how much range Ncuti has, and it is amazing. Like, really, there is nothing I can say about his acting that is bad, because it is great. And, well, it is just great. To be honest, the weakest parts of Ncuti were the scripts he got given, and also the scheduling conflicts he had. And put your pitchforks down, I am not saying that there were any really bad scripts. I am not saying that. I'm not saying the writing was bad. But he didn't get his I am the Doctor moment until episode 3, boom. So he had kind of 4 or 5 episodes without having his Doctor moment. And what I mean is, just think about the first episode of the 10th Doctor, when he stepped out of the TARDIS challenging the Sycorax in the Christmas invasion, or the 11th Doctor banishing the Atraxi in the 11th hour, both of their premiere episodes. However, Ncuti had to wait till Boom to get his I am the Doctor moment, when he confronted the Anglican Marines on their fake war rally in Boom, and that was great. However, as I said, there are some weak parts, because his Doctor cries in every episode in Season 1, apart from 73 Yards, which he is barely in. And I'm not saying that male characters shouldn't cry, I am not saying that. But he cries in every episode, which just undercuts the emotion, when in later episodes like Dot and Bubble or Empire of Death, when we see him cry, it would have been amazing. However, we've seen it every week, so it just undercuts the emotion. It doesn't feel earned. Like, the Doctor is a character that doesn't break easily, because he's already lost so much. just think of 10 when he lost Rose. That was one of the few times that we saw him cry. Yeah, 10 was more emotional than some other Doctors, but 15 just seems even more emotional. And it feels weird because he is supposed to have shed the baggage of his previous 14 lives because the 14th Doctor went through rehab, as seen in The Giggle, but he is still feeling like a really emotional Doctor, which is a bit weird. But now let's talk about the other main character. Of course, the companion, Ruby Sunday, played by Millie Gibson. And Ruby is just great. She is fun-loving, fierce, protective, just overall great. And her interactions with the Doctor are some of the best moments of this season. And she is great. She takes a bit of a while to get like her sea legs. She carries the episode 73 yards, but it did take her 5 episodes to really come into her own. I thought she was more of a passenger until 73 yards, where she knocked it out the park. But technically, 73 yards is the first filming that the first episode that Millie filmed for because of Ncuti Gatwa's other filming commitments with Sex Education. So, like, Ruby is great right from the off, really, but in the way the episodes are formatted, she doesn't come into her own until 5 episodes really into the series, which is a bit weird that it's her first filming, which makes it great, but for us, it's 5 episodes in. But then again, I almost come back to the writing, because she doesn't seem as fully realised as other past companions, taking her 5 episodes until she actually comes into her own. Instead of, like, Rose saved the Doctor in her very first episode, Amy saved the Doctor in her second episode, but it takes Ruby 5 years, and also we don't get a glimpse into her home life, which we thought we really would when we first saw her, so we don't know why she really wants to come with the Doctor, which is a bit of a bad thing because Russell T Davies was so great at doing family dynamics in his first era, which unfortunately brings me into another, down, because even though I said the interactions between the Doctor and Ruby were great, and they were great, they actually weren't together all that much. Ruby is dead for some of Boom, and the Doctor is absent for basically all of 73 yards. And then the Doctor and Ruby are in Dust and Bubble, but they aren't in it much at all. Only at the end, really, they're in it. And then for Rogue, they are split apart from one another for most of that episode. And that is 4 episodes, which is half of this season, that they are not together in a row. Yeah, that is right. Boom, 73 Yards, Dot and Bubble, Rogue are all episodes that follow one after another, and they are all episodes where the Doctor and Ruby are split up at some point for most of the episode. And really, why? Even the season seems to acknowledge this, where it gets to the point in Rogue where the Doctor says to Rogue that Ruby is his best friend, but it's like the show has to tell us they're best friends instead of showing us, because they spent so much of this season apart from each other. And really, it could have been an easy fix. Don't split the Doctor and Companion up so much and have them in the episodes more. Of course, this is a bad thing due to Ncuti Gatwa's other commitments with Sex Education. He couldn't appear in the series because he was busy with Sex Education filming for that. But it really left their dynamic underbaked, undercooked, because we don't really see their dynamic all that much. When we do, it's great, but we do not see it much. And also, with them not being that much together, we don't get any more, we don't get layers to their friendship. They always seem like best buds together. However, there is no conflict in their relationship, which makes their relationship feel fake and wooden. Conflict adds new layers to the relationship. One of the best relationships between Doctor and companion in Doctor Who, I think, is the Ninth Doctor and Rose. You can disagree with me on that, but their relationship seems so real and so genuine, and they were fighting really from their very first episode together. And really, it just feels a lot better, a lot more real than the dynamic between the 15th Doctor and his companion Ruby, which really makes it seem not great. But on the subject of relationships, let's talk about the main arc of season 1, and that revolves around Ruby and basically the question of who is Ruby's mother. So, of course, the story of Ruby and Ruby's mum is that Ruby was abandoned on a church doorstep on Christmas Eve 2004 by her mum. And throughout this season, Ruby tries to work out and find out who her mum is. And it culminates in the reveal that Ruby's mum is just a normal person. And this doesn't work for me. And it's not because I wanted Ruby's mum to be someone special, because I think it's great that Ruby's mum is a normal person. But it's because the season pointed to the direction that she had to be someone special. And what I mean by that is that in Space Babies, there's a scene where Ruby's mum ominously points at the Doctor, with his memory having changed from the church on Ruby Road. Also established in Space Babies, really, it snows multiple times throughout this season, basically, well, all culminating on Ruby. And in The Devil's Chord, Maestro says that something is wrong with Ruby and that she has a song hidden inside her. And it is the song that played when she was abandoned. And for Maestro to say there is something wrong with Ruby, literally the god of music, there has to be something big wrong with Ruby. And then, of course, it all culminates in the legend of Ruby Sunday, where no one can see Ruby's mother's face, and she glitches past Ruby and the Doctor is shocked that she can hide her identity. And it all points to her being someone special. And RTD has stated that he wanted to make Ruby's mother ordinary because he liked the reveal in The Last Jedi that Rey's parents were normal, and didn't like the fact that she later became a Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker. But there are some key differences. So, in Doctor Who, it is established that ordinary people cannot change Time Lord's memories. They can't summon snow, they can't confuse gods, and they can't hide their identity from everyone. Whereas in the Star Wars universe, at least thousands have the Force ability, which Rey has. There's anything more special than her being a Force user. And as I said, thousands of people can use the Force in the Star Wars universe. However, Season 1 tries to almost deceive you into the fact that the only answer to Ruby's mother is that she has to be someone special. And then it kind of makes fun of you for thinking that Ruby's mother could be someone special. Okay, so the Ruby's mum storyline was a bit of a letdown. Let's talk about the other main story arc in this season, which is Susan Twist or Susan Triad. So, established in Wild Blue Yonder, this actress appeared, and then she kept appearing throughout season 1, seemingly playing different characters, all culminating in Susan Triad being revealed in The Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death to be Sutekh's harbinger. And it is explained in Empire of Death that Sutekh latched onto the TARDIS, which I will explain a bit more later, and every time the TARDIS landed, he created a new Susan Triad each time the TARDIS landed, making her stronger and stronger. So in 2024, she became Susan Triad, a genius. And this kind of creates a problem, because Sutekh reveals that he's been on the TARDIS since 1975's Pyramid of Mars, meaning that all the stories after that have had Susan Triad appearing, apparently. But this doesn't make any sense, because we have never seen her before until Wild Blue Yonder, and then in season 1 she appears in every episode. But we've never seen her before. It makes it not believable. It would have made more sense for Sutekh to be on the TARDIS from Wild Blue Yonder, which is the first time in this new era that the TARDIS started to malfunction, or even Flux could have worked, where it is established in the Halloween apocalypse that the TARDIS is malfunctioning and going haywire, with the doors appearing anywhere and everywhere, and then the TARDIS getting struck by the Flux. So, Susan Triad then appearing in Wild Blue Yonder would have made a lot more sense, since Sutekh has only been on the TARDIS for, well, either a couple of hours or a couple of weeks. So the two major arcs definitely had some problems, but going episode by episode, this is the best Doctor Who has ever looked. The directing, the cinematography, the settings, the aliens, they all look amazing. The Disney budget definitely isn't going to waste. I mean, the alien world from Boom looks the best it has ever been, using these LED screens to make the alien planet look incredible. And of course, as I have mentioned in my review of 73 Yards, the camera work is amazing. It makes a story just taking place in a really could have been boring and mundane story look amazing. And everyone that did the sets, the hair and makeup and the costumes did an amazing job. They are the unsung heroes of this era because they all look incredible and amazing. Like, for example, Rogue. The hair, the makeup, the costumes, the set in there looks amazing. It could have been so easy to mess that up, but it looks brilliant. And also, the aliens all throughout this series look really impressive, with most of the aliens being practical effects and then finished off with CGI. And with them being mostly practical, they look better and feel more real. The man-traps are some of my favourite aliens from this series, and they just look so amazingly good. But unfortunately, it isn't all sunshine and rainbow with the aliens, because in the actual terms of their impact, they're unfortunately a bit of a letdown. So, they're all one-off villains that we probably will not see again. They are and that's because they are so specific to the planet and place they were debuted in. Like, the Bogeyman and the Woman are weak villains, really, that are not properly built up during the story, making them almost seem like an afterthought, where, of course, the ending of Space Babies, to me, feels really rushed, and also 73 Yards. Really, the only alien I could see making a reappearance is the Maestro, but more accurately, the Cholda, which seemed like which, as I said, seemed like the only aliens that could return. But unfortunately, they lack a threat level. They just seem in Rogue to want to be silly and campy. And I like the episode Rogue, but the Cholda are easily the weakest part of that episode. And also, as I said, I love the man-traps. They are probably the scariest of villains, at least in my opinion. But they are also heavily linked to Findtime and the Homeworld, that we will probably never see them again. And that feels like a real letdown. That some of them are pretty good, like Maestro and the man-traps. But then a lot of them, like the Bogeyman, the Woman, the Cholda, are weak. And arguably, the worst is Sutekh, the God of Death. The build-up and reveal in The Legend of Ruby Sunday is great. But then, for most of Empire of Death, he just sits at the top of the TARDIS doing nothing. And at the end of Empire of Death, Sutekh is defeated and killed, and all the death and destruction he brought is reversed, meaning Sutekh The god of death killed no one. Everyone he killed came back to life. The god of death killed no one, which is a massive letdown. And that brings me to the topic of endings. Russell T Davies has always struggled with endings. Just look at his Series 1 finales. Arguably the worst is Last of the Time Lords, where the Doctor becomes Space Jesus. And it's easy to see that unfortunately he has not got better at writing endings. Just look at Space Babies, Empire of Death, even Boom, and yes, I know Boom is a Stephen Moffat episode, but all of them have rushed endings. 73 Yards has a super complicated ending that takes you out of the episode, at least for me, and it just makes a actually pretty good episode really a bad episode. It just leaves a sour taste in your mouth because the ending is bad, which makes the whole episode seem worse than it probably actually is. The only episode which I think has a phenomenal ending, is Dot and Bubble. And that ending, as I said, is phenomenal. But the rest of the episode was not that great. It's almost like a reverse of 73 Yards, which makes me think Russell T Davies can either write a stellar episode with a bad ending or a mid-episode with a phenomenal ending. And really, I think the problem with this rushed endings is the fact that Season 1 only has 8 episodes, which is the second shortest series ever in New Who. And I felt like there was too much in certain episodes that just made them feel cramped and made the ending have to feel rushed. Not only did the story have to have the specific episode happen, but the overarching story arcs of Ruby's mother and Susan Triad, as well as establishing these new characters introduced in this series, because we have a new Doctor, a new companion, new families, new side characters. It all just felt too cramped, and they overreached into all these new episodes that made what the actual episode was about not as important and made the episode feel too cramped and too rushed. Doctor Who has satisfyingly concluded 45-minute episodes before, meaning the episode count is definitely the problem, and it left a lot of episodes feeling underbaked. I know we are now in a new TV landscape where shows can get not more than 8 episodes, but really just give them 2 more episodes, 10 episodes, maybe 50 minutes instead of 45, and I think the episode would be a lot better. And unfortunately, this cramped effect bleeds into the wide range of stories in Season 1. We have had standout episodes this season, I am not going to lie, with episodes that we may never have had before, with The Devil's Cord and Boom. However, as I said, I think it had an adverse effect actually with Season 1, showing Doctor Who as more of a variety show rather than what Doctor Who has normally been, a sci-fi show with a madman in a box travelling throughout all of time and space. This season doesn't fully establish what Doctor Who actually is, giving it a clear identity, which will leave new viewers confused and unsure on what this episode is actually about. And with this season being given no clear identity, Season 1 just feels disjointed and messy, and the half-series of Series 6 and 7 feel more connective and less messy than Series 1, which is bad, as they are literally half-series, which by nature are disjointed and messy. However, Season 1, a full series, not being half, feels more messy and disjointed. That's a bad look. But of course, I don't want this video to be all doom and gloom, because there are a lot of standout moments in this season. Because just look at the Doctor's speech in Boom. That is amazing. This gave the Doctor his first Doctor moment, and the first time the Doctor flexes his authority, and the sass he delivers in that episode is great. Also, in that episode, The death of Ruby was truly shocking, and the acting from Ncuti was amazing. How he couldn't do anything but watch the event unfold, and it made you almost feel like Ruby might die. The way Millie Gibson and Ncuti Gatwa react to that situation is amazing. And of course, as I said, the ending of Dot and Bubble was phenomenal. It was so shocking. The reveal that the whole society of Findtime is racist, and the reaction that the Doctor gives is incredible. You can feel his frustration, his raw emotion, his sadness, how he could save all these people, but they won't let him. And when he cries in this episode, it feels earned and it feels natural. This should be one of the first moments that he cried. Maybe first in Boom with the death of Ruby, but then this. And also, as I said, he shows a wide range of emotions. So of course I have to point out the flirty scene with Rogue in, of course, the episode Rogue is just delightful. It is nice for this Doctor to show off his fun side, because this Doctor is fun. And it goes off so well when Rogue plays the straight man in this, like, comedy role. Of course, Rogue is not straight, but, like, in this comedy, he is playing the straight man. And it is just so funny and delightfully campy. And also is made even better with the epic scene of the Doctor's faces circling around him, and Rogue's reaction of just being flabbergasted is amazing. These are all such excellent moments, and it doesn't end there. Because, of course, I cannot talk about this series without mentioning Murray Gold. His music is top tier. The themes he created for the two main characters, 15 and Ruby, are amazing. And it was so delightful to see Ruby play her own theme in The Devil's Chord. And his music is, again, just top tier. It adds so much tension to certain scenes, triumph to other scenes, and he rarely messes with the music in this season. It is just so great. Like, again, just Murray Gold, top tier music. And before the episode ranking I want to go over, because I want to actually give my rankings of every certain episode, I just want to give a quick shout out to Doctor Who Unleashed. It's great to watch. It gives so much insight into the Doctor Who episodes, shows how much work behind the scenes goes into Doctor Who, and for me, it just gives a new level of appreciation to Doctor Who. It goes over things I missed in this season of Doctor Who. It's just so amazing. All the people in there are unsung heroes, and it's so great for Doctor Who to give back to these people that make these episodes so great. And the host, Stefan Powell, amazing. I am really happy we got another behind-the-scenes show of Doctor Who for this new era, because it's just so amazing and gives a new level of appreciation for this season of Doctor Who. So, here we are with a tier list of all the Doctor Who episodes. So, I want to just do a quick ranking of them. So, first of all, we have The Church on Ruby Road. So, for The Church on Ruby Road, I think I will just put it in B. It's an interesting episode. It's quite intriguing. Unfortunately, a lot of things don't get paid off. Like, the Ruby's mum storyline, as I said, is a bit disappointing. We don't get to see much of Carla and Cherry after this. The Mrs. Flood storyline is still ongoing. Again, it's just a perfectly alright episode. And next is Space Babies. Space Babies, I think I will give it a C. It is definitely worse than The Church on Ruby Road, but it is an alright episode. It's better than some new ones like New Earth. It is better than that. But it does make it feel a little campy, a little weird, a little goofy, and just seems like a weird choice for an episode to start off your new relaunch of Doctor Who, the new reinvention, and it just makes it a sort of silly episode. So, now let's look at the Devil's Chord. The Devil's Chord I want to give an A ranking to. It is pretty amazing. Maestro, so terrifying, so campy, so great. Seeing the Beatles involved is amazing. The way that the Beatles actually defeat Maestro is amazing. She feels tense, like you get the Doctor's sadness and anxiousness that he could not actually beat this threat. It is so amazing to see another pantheon of gods. I wish we got more gods throughout this series if we were building to Sutekh, but as just a standalone episode, it is amazing. Now, boom. S is the best episode by far. It is amazing. This Doctor is put in a situation where you would never normally see this Doctor. He is so energetic, so full of life, and he has to stay still. The tenseness of Ruby's death, the sass he gives Monday, is just so amazing. The level of just that shoot he brings to that role is just so amazing. Boom, I cannot sing the praises high enough. 73 yards now. 73 yards, D. I'm not joking, D. The ending for that really undermines it for me. I was hooked in this episode and then it just falls apart at the ending. What, is it a time loop? Why does Ruby become the old woman? If Ruby is the old woman, why didn't they use the same actor as old Ruby as the woman? What was the woman saying? There are just so many unanswered questions, and it's not like I need all answers to this. I love the episode Midnight, but it just feels like creating confusion for confusion's sake. Russell T Davies said, hardly anything in 73 yards is ever going to be answered. And that's the reason. He just doesn't want to answer them. And that is a terrible precedent to set. So that's why it's at the bottom right now. Dot and Bubble. C. Phenomenal ending cannot save this episode. The ending is phenomenal. I do want to say that. Ending, so good. But it's not the same to save a mid-episode. Most of this episode is just mid. And really, a phenomenal ending can't save what most of the episode is. Okay, Rogue. Actually, I'm going to put it in A ahead of the Devil's Chord. I was thinking, could it be S? But I don't think it is as good as Boom. But it's amazing. The chemistry between the Doctor and Rogue, amazing. Ruby having her own little storyline. The reveal of the Doctor's faces with Richard E. Grant, that is amazing. This episode is so good. Again, it is weakened by the shoulder and this shoehorned in scene of the Doctor promising that he will keep Ruby safe to Carla. Yeah, it's just a bit... There's just something lacking from being an amazing episode. The Legend of Ruby Sunday. B. I might put it B ahead of the Church on Ruby Road. It sets everything up amazingly. However, it's just a setup episode, meaning it doesn't do anything for itself. It doesn't finish anything it started. And then is hampered by Empire of Death, which is C. It is just C. It's not that great an episode, unfortunately. I mean, I don't get it, really. It's C. And also, if I was going to rank Doctor Who Season 1 as a whole series on this tier list, I think I would go with B. It's a good series, not great. There's nothing spectacular given, and it is brought down by episodes like Space Babies, Empire of Death, and 73 yards for me. And really, that is it. Now, don't get me wrong, this is some of the best Doctor Who we've had in years. Of course, there are some problems in this season that I've just gone over, and I don't think it was as good as I hoped when I heard that Russell T Davies would be returning. But I am hopeful that season 2 will be even better, and of course, this is still some pretty amazing Doctor Who. But that is just my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. What would be your ranking for this series? And what did you think of this whole series in its entirety? And also, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, also subscribe, and share it out. And I will see you, hopefully for a shorter video, in the next one. See you then.